Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game Esoteric and our continuing series, the Unported Playlist, where I take out some of my favorite unported arcade games of all time, and today we have D1GP, published by Taito and developed by Yukes. If that name sounds familiar, it's because they've made pretty much every good wrestling game in the last 2 decades, but every once in a while they take a detour and they decide to do a drifting arcade game. Before we get too far involved though, do me a huge favor, go down below, hit like, subscribe, and that notification bell definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined to want to support the channel, we got a Patreon link down below as well. But D1GP is not an arcade racing game. Yes, there's a car, yes, there's a track, yes, there's a wheel and pedals. It's the exact same setup that you would expect out of something like a Daytona. But this game is a drifting game, and I will tell you it is extremely hard to master. Not in a bad way though, in a good way. I'm still not playing this game very well, but I am so compelled to come back and continue to get better at it. And I am playing this with a wheel and pedal set and running it on my PC under TechnoParrot quote-unquote emulation. There are 4 different ways to play the game, and I prefer just trying to do the time and score attack mode right here. You will see that there's a green line on the ground, and you have to go through these targets. Your target angle versus the angle you whip your car around from is going to give you a better or worse score. And trying to get this car all the way sideways, it requires a perfection touch to do it. But that's what I love about this game so much. It makes me want to learn how to do it better. Now I get it, this game's not going to be for everybody. It's probably not for 9 out of 10 of you that are watching. But if you really like an arcade game that requires nothing but pure skill and learning, I think D1GP would definitely be for you. Now moving on to Chase Attack, you would think this is the racing mode, but it's not so much the racing mode as that you're actually drift competing against another opponent in the game. And this is based on a real drifting race circuit in Japan that I know absolutely nothing about. I am not a racing fan outside of arcade games. But you get these hilarious videos of different people here. The Blitz Dunlop Skyline ER34, not the GTR, but hey, you can't always win there. Maybe this is a better car. Don't know anything about it. I just know about that Skyline in particular. You'd think that you're trying to get to the finish line first. You are not. You are now following this person around the track, and you'll see when they drift, a box is going to show up. We're supposed to be sitting in that box. And let me tell you, I've gotten close a few times, but it is painstakingly hard to get the gas, the brake, and that counter steering going out at the same time. I'm really close there, but as I turn back around on that turn, you'll see that I get that synchronized icon for a moment. When you see synchronized, that means you're doing the exact same thing as the driver in front of you is doing. You are getting all the points you possibly can. You want to stay in that box. You want to be synchronized on your turns. In some ways, it's a rhythm game, but as opposed to, stepping on a mat or pushing a button, the rhythm is 100% set by your driving. And when you screw up, oh, do you screw up? Making a single mistake, your race is basically over. And it's not even really technically a race. I guess that's the word I want to use because it's a wheel and pedal and there's a car on screen. But you're really not racing anything. You're just competing for points. But let's move over to another mode in the game and another track right here. I just love it. Trying to understand this game, once you first start playing it, you may very well think, screw it, this isn't for me, I want to walk away. I had that same thought when I first started playing D1GP, but I wanted to talk about it in a video, so I kept playing it, kept trying to get better to get the best capture out, and it's still not the best gameplay you're ever going to see of this game. I am still learning. But that's the great thing about games like this. You don't need to be perfect to have fun, and you can practice and get better. But the more I played for capture, the more I started to try to understand what the game was asking of me, the more fun I had with it, and the more I was compelled to continue to play and to continue to get better to see what I could do. And that's the best thing about an arcade game. If it makes you come back and want to get better like a fighting game, it's doing amazing. And the game has a relatively decent soundtrack as well, so go ahead and listen for like 45 seconds and I'll come back and talk more about D1GP and why you should play. But enjoy because it's good. mean, the soundtrack just really fits the game, and you can go into first-person mode as well, which has a better sense of speed, but is definitely harder to play until you get really good at the game, because you can't see the angle of your vehicle. You can kind of approximate it based upon where you're heading versus where that line is, but you can't see the back bumper, so it really makes it hard to tell just how good, or in probably some instances in this capture, how poor you are drifting, because you'll see there I did run out of time. That can happen. You got to do these drifts while also maintaining your time, but you will see here once all those points accumulate, I was able to get an S rank, and that feels pretty good for not having played this game all that much. It just makes me want to come back and play it a little bit more, and that is the great thing about an arcade game. If you're compelled to come back and keep trying and keep getting better, you know it's doing something great. And I love the fact that this is from Yukes. They made basically every WWF and WWE game you've ever played, but they felt like making something different, and Taito got involved. And I don't know anything about this game as far as how popular it is in Japan, so if you've ever lived in Japan, if you play arcade games in Japan, let me know if these cabinets still exist, because I'd be really curious how this game did, because I could see this becoming a game that had an underground following. Sure, it's no Initial D in the way that you're drifting and racing at the same time. That game's clearly going to be more popular, but I feel like this may have some sort of underground following that I've just never heard of before, because I've never heard a single other person mention this game. It's been on my radar for the longest time, and I felt like it was finally time to talk about an arcade racing game that really didn't make you race whatsoever. But interestingly, drifting in an arcade game just for drifting's sake is not a new thing. Racing Jam and Racing Jam Chapter 2 from Konami had their own special Gymkhana modes where all you would do is drift around a course to try to get the best time, so it's not like it's a new invention from Taito. Now if you hit the start button, that green line will 100% get out of your view, and now you're just playing based on memory. This is the mode for when you've played this game 100 times and you need an extra challenge, and in some ways it's kind of more fun because you worry less about the green line. Once you realize you're off the green line, you know you made that mistake, it starts to get to you. If you turn the green line off, even if you're not getting that help, knowing where you're not making mistakes sometimes can allow you more to just mentally get into the groove and less worry about having a visual indicator of you having made a mistake. But you'll see there, some of my angles are close. Target 330, I was 378. I was too far beyond, and that's the fun thing, but I can't recommend enough. You gotta get a wheel if you're gonna play this game. There's so many great racing games in MAME, in the Supermodel emulator, in this instance in Techno Parrot. If you're into arcade racing games, get yourself a good wheel and pedal set. You are not going to regret it. Yes, they're expensive off the top, but they are worth their weight in gold. Now, there is a tournament mode, and I will tell you right now that until you basically perfect every course in this game and the drifting inside of it, don't go anywhere near this, because you are going to be immediately discouraged when the CPU hands you your own ass. It's just going to happen. You'll see here that I'm chasing and I'm trying to get that drift in, but even bumping it, that is a point deduction. You're going to see the rival total points and my total points. I am close here. I have more points off the top, but he edges back ahead, and you get this real-time counter of what's going on. I need to get closer. I need to synchronize in, and I took that corner a little bit too hard, and now I am just behind on points. This is the mode for you to test yourself against the CPU when you have learned absolutely everything else. It is the aspirational mode. This is the mode you're going to want to come into when you feel like you know every single corner in the game, and you're probably still going to get embarrassed your first couple times out, but it makes you strive to get better, and that is all I want out of a racing game for the arcades. So if you've seen D1GP, if you've heard of it, but you don't think it's for you because it's not traditional racing, give it a try. I guarantee you're either going to love it or hate it. Sure that I will see you guys next time. We got to the goal, and I lost hard. Bye-bye.